Hey guys, Tracy here, Summer Pick Farms. What's up? Welcome to the farm this week. I know I have been kind of slacking on the posting kind of lately. It's that time of year. We don't really do a whole lot through winter. We're pretty much done here in Northeast Kansas about the end of December. And then we're ramping up getting stuff going just like you guys are right now. So I just kind of want to take you around a little bit today. We're going to do a couple things. We're going to do a little walkthrough outside, see what's in the tunnel and what's not in the tunnel, and then what I'm doing, and then we're going to start some tomatoes. But first off, yeah, you guys can see them back there in the background. We do have the tomato plants. Yes. Sorry about the fan in the background. I've got some fan blowing. You guys can see the wind blowing on those bad dudes. We've got all of the cherry tomatoes going. We've got all the cherry tomatoes going, and we've got some of the slicers. I struggle. I don't know about you guys, but I completely struggle getting tomato seeds to germinate here. I don't know why. I buy what I consider some of the best tomato seeds going right now from a very, very, very reputable company. And I always struggle, but they have been awesome to help me and support me and replenish some seeds and help me figure out what I'm doing wrong. So I'm trying something new today, which I've never tried on tomato seeds. Now, I have tried it on other seeds, but I have not tried it on tomato seeds. I'm just going to go on a whim. I'm going to try it. It's not something they recommended, but I read it online. You know how that goes. I'm going to try it today to see if it does help me get some of these more to germinate. But I do have a couple new varieties. This is called Blush. It's supposed to be like a striped, more like a elongated cherry tomato. Of course, we have our tried and true black cherries. We have what of the Jolenes? I think 35 of the Jolenes that actually germinated out of the 100 seeds. I know, see, that's what I'm talking about. I struggle with germination. Large red, of course. I could grow these seeds and not even try. I don't know what it is with the large red cherry. We got these from True Leaf Market, and these seeds are 3 years old. 3 years they have been in the refrigerator, and I get 100% germination every time. I always think I don't, so I always grow a couple more trays more than I need, and then I end up with like 500 cherry tomato starts. But this year I've narrowed it down. We're only doing 50 of each tomato variety, so that should put me near my 350 tomato plants. That's not really a whole lot as a market gardener, but I have to kind of reel this in. I only have so much real estate. But yeah, so I've got some other pepper plants started back here. You guys can see that is some habanero. I've got 3 Carolina Reaper plants. I've only done 3. Usually I'll do 20 or 30. I have a very hard time selling Carolina Reaper here where I'm at. So it's not one of those really high, hardcore varieties that people are asking for, even though everybody wants hot. But then when you start throwing hot at them, then they don't want that hot. So I grow a lot of those just for myself, and I throw them in the freezer, and I make salsas and jellies and jams and chutneys and stuff like that later. So these 3 right here in the big Bootstrap Farmer 5-inch pots, you can see they are looking great. These are just going to be mine. So guess what? You're not getting any. Got some more tomato stuff. I'm trying some weird stuff here. I don't know. You guys can see those. I've read somewhere online that you could, once after the true leaves come on, so you're going to get your first cotyledons, then you're going to get your set of true leaves, and you want to snip the top of that tomato. I've seen somebody, kind of a reputable source online that I do follow that does this to their tomatoes, and they seem to have bumper crops. I've never done this before. It's almost like, oh my God, you're cutting a tomato plant. I know. When I started cutting them, I was like, ew. So what I did was I cut a lot of the large cherry, not these, but I do have some, actually those right there are 8 of the large cherries because I have hundreds of them, so I could sacrifice those for the art of gardening science. And so that's what we did. So today we got another 200 tomato starts to start today. And besides that, just got everything going. Got some beets here. Got some more beets here. We've got some cilantro. I've got my dill over there going. These are a friend of mine. She is actually starting a flower farm here in our area called Storybook Farm. And this is her first year. She just got started about 3 months ago. She comes from another farm, and she's moved back home. And so she's starting her farm. So I offered to help her out. So I've lent her a bunch of my seed starting trays, and I'm starting some of her seeds with her here to help her get started. But yeah, she's got some eucalyptus, which is pretty cool. Like I said, I'm not a big flower farmer guy, so I'm not really sure what you do with a lot of this. I think she said you use this as like a filler. She does a lot of stuff like, there's a lot of weird names in flowers, celosia and all kinds of other stuff that she started. We got some stuff that has popped up here. Like I said, I'm not sure what they're supposed to look like or what they are looking like, but we're gonna do it together. I've got the grow tent downstairs. I'm not gonna take you downstairs. My basement's a mess. But anyway, I've got the grow tent downstairs, and I've got bell peppers and jalapenos, stuff like that in the grow tent on heat mats. I like to grow in grow tents because I can control that area. I can put a small baby crock pot in there, and then I fill it up with water, and then I use that to raise the humidity in that room to help keep the seed bed moist and to help with germination. Sorry about that. Dump truck's going by. I live out in the country, so they are dumping gravel on the road. But once again, like I said, I am way behind. I feel like I'm way behind. I'm watching all my friends harvesting lettuce mixes and salad mixes, and I don't even have salad in the ground yet. Well, I don't have lettuce in the ground yet. I got them in trays, but they're not in the ground. You guys remember the ex-chicken house tunnel, which is now 3 32-foot beds, or 3 30-foot beds, I'm sorry. So we've got the Johnny's Wildfire mix in that row, which is looking great. So here, hopefully in another 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be harvesting that. I've got carrots in these 2 beds. They have germinated. I struggle with carrots also when it starts to get warm because I'm very impatient. Carrots sometimes take a long time to germinate. You got to keep the bed moist, not soaking wet, but you want to keep it moist for at least 15 to 20 days to make sure you get that germination. But saying that, you also have to have the temperatures up a little bit higher to help with germination, because the carrots do not like to germinate when it's cold. I mean, there's nothing that likes to germinate when it's super, super cold but spinach. So saying that, spinach, you can see spinach is germinated. So like I said, I'm way behind. You know, we have 2 weeks. 2 weeks and our first farmer's market is coming on. And the only thing I'm really going to have for any type of vegetable crop is microgreens. And that's okay. It's going to be the first 2, 3, 4 weeks. The first month of our market will just be a lot of microgreens and items like that that I can grow, that I can control quick. This stuff will pop up. And when it does come on, I'm going to be complaining we have too much stuff to deal with. I mean, you know how that goes. But that's the small tunnel. I'm not going to open these tunnels up right now because it's only 25 degrees, even though it looks like it's 100 degrees out here with this beautiful bluebird Kansas sky. Well, not so much bluebird, but you get the gist. It's not super hot out here yet. So I'm going to wait an hour or 2 before I open these tunnels. Yeah, it's warm in here. I may have to open this one. What's this one reading? We are at 70 degrees in here right now, so not too shabby, not too shabby. I do have stuff planted out in this one, believe it or not. I've got 2 types of bok choy. I think a purple lady, and then there's a green type, which is your standard looking kind of bok choy. I've had them in the ground now for 2 weeks, and they are starting to look really good. I've got kale in the ground. I needed to do something with that kale, and I did not want to put it outside when it was going to still be in the 20s at night here. We are still getting 20s at the night. Even though we may be getting 50s and 60s during the day, it's still upper 20s at night. So I want to make sure I give them the best chance of growing. So I went ahead and took a bed out of here, and we put kale in. I think we've got 35 kale plants in here. You guys can see they are looking very, very good. I need to get some fertilizer on them. I have not bought any type of fertilizer. These little leaves here, get these leaves off the bottom. But yeah, they're looking really good. Bok choy, you can see the bok choy in there. It's looking really good. So I just need the stuff to kind of, I need it to get some growing on it. I need to get some stuff sold, make daddy some money. Got what's left of the kale starts right there. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with that. I haven't figured out if I'm going to take them to market and just try to sell them to some people. I know it sounds weird. Kind of trips my wife out a little bit, where she's always like, well, why are we going to sell the same starts at market that you're growing on the farm? Well, for one, it's just another revenue of income. And for two, not everybody's going to be able to make stuff grow correctly. They may not water, they may overwater, they may oversun, they may not sun. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Just like people still go and buy seeds, people still buy transplants, but they still come and buy stuff from us. So I don't think that's a very determining factor, that if you sell large red cherry tomato starts at the beginning of the year, no one's going to buy your cherry tomato medley because it's got something in it, because everybody's different on their growing. Not everybody is as extreme as some of us are, that grow and stuff like this and make this our whole life. So but anyway, saying that, we've got all of our Salanova starts. So I've got 5 trays of Salanova. You can see that one right there. It's looking a little bleak. I didn't get a whole bunch of germination on there. That was some seed starting mix that I bought from a box store. And I know we've talked about this before. I buy potting up mix from a box store because it's cheaper, and it's usually got a little bit of nutrition in it to help that, keep that transplant going. I bought some seed starting mix from a big box store, and I got like 50% germination. I should have known better, but being cheap, that's what I did. So what I did is I actually went and got some Happy Frog, which this is the first time I've ever used Happy Frog. Usually I try to go as cheap as possible, because when you're starting 4,000 or 5,000 starts, it gets expensive to buy Happy Frog to do that much. You don't get a whole lot with it. It's twice as much money and you get half as much. So I did start this with the Happy Frog. As you can see, I've got pretty decent germination. You can see a lot of perlite and stuff that they do put it. I like it. It's very, very airy compared to the box store kind of stuff. That looks more like a soil. These are watered from below. So looks like I got it there dry. Looks like I need to put a little bit of water in there today. But these are watered from below. So I'm not really just like watering the tops of these, and they're not really smashing or washing the seeds out. It's just the difference in the potting mix. That's very important. You know, sometimes you can save a little bit of money on one thing and spend a little bit on something else to make it work. So, but these guys are getting ready. They should be in about another week or 2 weeks, if we still keep getting this 50s and 60s during the day. Even though it's cold at night, I've got this little shelter that I made to kind of keep the frost off of them. They seem to be doing great. So, yeah, hopefully here in 2 weeks I can get this in the ground, and in about a month I can start harvesting Salanova. I know some of my friends south of us have already started doing mixes, and I'm super, super jealous. I just hate putting stuff in this tunnel when it's not heated, when it's in the 20s and the teens at night, because for one, I don't have enough frost blankets to cover this whole complete tunnel. And for two, I just don't have the money to buy $1,000 worth of frost blankets, good quality frost blankets, to get this stuff covered up. So I kind of wait about a month before I start really putting stuff in the tunnels. I may be a little bit behind, but I'm willing to take that chance to be a little bit behind on the beginning of my season, to get my season ramped up towards the middle, and then I go all the way through winter, where most people around here at our farmers markets, at least the majority of them, kind of stop providing fresh salad mix and vegetables about September. I'm going all the way to December. So I would much rather pick it up more in the winter time, because it seems like I pick up a lot of customers as the year goes around. Whew. Yeah. You guys want to go check out the chicks? Yeah, you guys want to go check out the chicks. So you guys did know, I have not put it on a video, but I think I did it on a short, or I did it on Instagram. You can follow me at Instagram here. And I usually post a lot of stuff on there during the week. Like I said, I'm very bad at vlogging. It's easier on Instagram, so I kind of hit that up a little bit. But let's go in here and check it out. I started with 30 chicks. I had a friend of mine. He actually lives down the road from me, and he has, I don't know, a couple hundred chicks or a couple hundred birds, and then he does goats and milks goats and does stuff like that. So I went to talk to him about buying some laying hens from him this year, and because we've put it off for, I don't know, we've put laying hens off for about 4 years now, and then with the egg prices, and my wife does a lot of baking, she was like, hey, we need to really get into this. I was like, okay. So I went to talk to him, and he said, hey, I could just start some eggs in the incubator. So they started 100 eggs for us. And you know, when that comes in time, that half of those probably aren't going to be fertilized correctly. You're going to lose some, blah, blah, blah. We ended up with 30. I think he said we ended up with 40 birds. 10 of them didn't make it, so they were out from the beginning. So he brought me 30 birds 3 weeks ago. And we lost 3 of the smallest little runts, but that's going to happen. That's nature. So we're left with 27 right now. And I don't know if they're hens or if I don't know if they're roosters. Now, all the birds we used to raise when I was a kid were meat birds. So it didn't really matter. We just got meat birds. 6 weeks, 7, 8 weeks later, they were done. We were on to the next 500 meat birds. So I don't really know how to sex these things very well, but they are barred rocks because that's what I wanted, was the salt and pepper. Every farm around here growing up, I'm very reminiscent of a guy. I like the old school stuff, even though I love the new stuff. I love the old school stuff. I love old vehicles. I love old smell of houses. I love old furniture, that kind of thing like that. That's why I collect a lot of old metal gas cans and hubcaps and stuff. That's just something I like. I really like I like to embrace the old. It takes me back to a simpler time when we didn't have all this mess going on that we do right now. And stuff that doesn't last. Or have you guys bought a gas can lately? Literally, they're like $50 for a gas can. You can't even pour gas out of it because it's got 20 safety child locks on it that you can't even get gas out of. These 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old gas cans, I still use them to this day. Yep. I clean them out and I put them right back on the wall where I use them. But anyway, so these are barred rocks. He does have, I think, buff Orrington, and then he's got some red birds. I don't think they're not Rhode Island Reds. I don't remember what the Brahmas, something like that maybe. Excuse me, I'm not a chicken person, so I'm not up on this. But he's coming over this afternoon, and he is going to sex these things. We're going to pull the roosters out. I don't want any roosters. I just want the hens. He's got somebody that is going to take the roosters and grow them out. So I don't know why I didn't ask. I just said, hey, yeah, you can have them. But anyway, let's get the camera turned around. You guys can see them. They're a little shy. They don't like to be on camera. I've got this netting on top of here because they're starting to fly up now, and I'm afraid they're going to fly out of this tote and then be out here in the garage wandering around through all my junk where it's nice and cold. But yeah, you can check them out there. They're cute. Say hi, guys. Yeah, they really like to talk. But anyway, that's the girls, or guys. I'm going to call them girls. But that's them. So let's go inside and let's check out these tomato seeds. Okay, we are now sitting at my seed starting table, about to start those tomato seeds we talked about earlier. Once again, to just kind of talk about what we talked about earlier, is that I have lots of trouble starting tomato seeds. I don't know why. They are like my nemesis when it comes to gardening. I've tried different ways. I've got commercial grade heat mats. I've got good fans. I've got grow tents. I've got great seed starting equipment. Really good seed starting mix. Still have the same issues with tomatoes. I just do. It's just my nemesis. Some people have issues with this and that. I have issues with starting tomatoes and growing sunflower microgreens. Everything else I'm good at. Can't do those two things for some reason. I don't know why. So I do have I have pretty poor germination tomatoes, probably somewhere between 30 and 50%. I know that sounds terrible. I just do. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, if I'm physically doing something wrong. I'm buying great seeds from reputable companies. Like I said, using good starting seed equipment. I just don't know what's going on. So I'm going to try something different today, which I know. So after I Googled this, I thought, I was like, oh, wow, I could do this. And then I Googled it and found out people have been doing it already. I'm going to soak my seeds. Some parts of it is people will say, hey, if you soak your seeds, you'll get a great start on your tomato germination. Then some people say if you soak your seeds, you're wasting your time. What I have read, though, is the majority of people that say when they do soak their seeds, they have better germination. But they do say watch how long that you want to soak your seeds. You want to soak your seeds in warm water, not hot water, because hot water can kill your seeds. You want to soak it in warm water. So what I did was I just grabbed some warm or some hot tap water, and I poured my seeds packet in there 4 hours ago. So we are at the 4 hour mark right now. Everything that I've read says between 12 and 24 hours. Do not go over 24 hours because the seed will drown and then it will be done. So I soak beet seeds, stuff like that, 4 to 6 hours, like pea seeds, everything. Right? I'm just going to stick with the 4 to 6 hours thing. So whether it helps it or not, I don't know. I feel kind of warm and fuzzy inside, so we're going to go with that. So like I said, I've got seeds in just containers. Make sure you put your seed packets with your seeds so that way you remember what you're doing. I don't see any of them that are floating, so I would assume floating technique for eggs and everything else. If it floats, it's dead or bad. So I'm just going to go with that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this water dumped out, and I'll get right back with you. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a paper towel, and I'm just going to dump the seeds in the water, and this is going to be a pain in the butt because these seeds are going to want to stick, of course. Okay, so we got all those out of there. So okay, so we've got that group of seeds there. Just going to set those there. We're going to grab the next one. Sometimes it's better just to get your hands up in there. Get in there. I'm not really packing stuff. I'm just kind of lightly just running it, making sure I'm full, making sure everything's nice and topped off. Just kind of go over the top like this. And then I'll just put it on the lip of my tray here. Just kind of lightly pack everything down. Poke my holes through there. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get this under some water. All right. So, sorry, I got some seed starter mix underneath the table too. It's kicking it with my feet. So I've got both varieties here. Once again, you want to make sure you keep what seed packets go with what varieties so you know what's going on. Today, we are going to replant some Jolene and some BHN 589. I'm a huge fan of BHN 589. The only reason why we didn't start any of these this year is because I was trying a couple different varieties for my big slicer tomatoes. BHN 589. So those are my favorite. Jolene's is something new. I've got 35 starts over there out of 100 seeds that started earlier this year. So we're going to try another tray of these and see if I can get these to germinate a little better. So what I did was I went over and I just put a little bit of water on this just to get a little bit of weight on here, nothing huge. And I like to just take my trays, just give me 2 whacks with it. And all that does is kind of give me a little bit of seeding depth on my thing. So I'm not poking a hole in there because I tend to go a knuckle deep, which is way more than you need to do with the tomato. So what I'm going to do is I've given a nice little pack there. And what that does is that lightly compacts the soil just a little bit. And then when I put my seed on top and then I cover it with a little bit of seed starter mix and I just miss the top, that gives me a good seed bed to put these seeds in. So let's get started. So first up is the Jolene. So we are going to just take the tweezers and just grab one little seed. This is how I like to do tomato seeds. I know people are going to be just freaking out that, oh, I can't believe you're wasting. No, these seeds are very expensive. When you buy a good quality seed, and there's nothing wrong with seeds from hardware stores or anything like that. I have done that more in the past. But if you try to find some different varieties of, you can tell I'm old when I'm looking through my bifocals. I've had bifocals my whole life, so I guess it really doesn't mean I'm old, does it? I just look old now because I get that old man grumpy face when I'm looking at stuff at the store. But anyway, we're when you get a good quality seed from a reputable company, you get to try different varieties you wouldn't try at your big box stores. I mean, you go to a store, you guys know what I'm talking about, any kind of store, and it's usually the same old kind of tomato brands. It's always a beef steak, and there's always a Jet Star, and there's always a Better Boy. And not that there's nothing wrong with any of those varieties. I'm not saying there is, because I've grown those in the past and had great success with them. But when you want to try something a little different, when you want to try those different cherry tomato, I can't see it with my glasses on. Sorry. When you want to try what those different tomato varieties that all the cool kids are talking about on the gram, on Instagram right now, you've got to go to a different company that carries those kind of varieties, and they tend to be a little pricey sometimes. So, yeah. So you always want to make sure you try to do every seed. I know, there's probably people yelling at me for the way I'm doing this, or they don't like the way I'm doing this or that or this or that, but this is how I've always done it. I find relaxation and comfort in doing things like this that takes a little bit of tedious time sometimes, just because I can relax, put a good podcast on, um, and just chill out a little bit, break away from life for just a little bit while I'm doing something that I enjoy.